Hey, social media managers, this episode is going to unlock your seat at the table. All right, we're here. Episode 23 is upon us. John just called it the Jordan podcast. I like it. Episode 23 is here. We got a lot of fun stuff today, so I'm excited about today's podcast. News and notes with LinkedIn Scroll. We'll start it out. Let It Fly is a hot take segment, and we got a hot take today. And then content of the week, we'll close it out. And man, we got a fun content of the week. So, some parts of the content of the week I'm still learning, like right now as we're leading into the show, but we're excited. Before we get into the show, I just wanted to kind of take a moment. This, again, will come out later, but this week is my 2-year anniversary from leaving corporate America. And yeah, you can cheer, Brittany. Yeah, there's some applause. Maverick's been around. It will be 2 years in June, so we'll have a little celebration. We'll have a little shindig here at the office for that. But it's just a moment in time. And I shared this with the team earlier this week, and I wanted to share it with you guys. I posted something on LinkedIn. But I remember the moment when I left Universal and I didn't have a client. It's kind of crazy. I was talking to my brother the other day, and he was like, what you did was crazy. And it didn't feel as crazy at the time. I don't talk about it a lot here, but man of faith. And so believe a lot in what kind of God has planned in my life and our life. And I just had a lot of confidence in that moment that this was the next right step, and that he had me, and that we would be okay. And to kind of see where we've come in the past year and a half. And really it's about the team. So if you go over to maverickcontentstudio.com and go over, there's a new section called Our Team. You'll see the whole crew. We've got such a talented group of people. You hear them kind of yell in the background here right now. In the room with us is John, our senior video creator. We've got Brittany, our producer and social strategist. Dalton is a short timer, but he's he's our creative director right now, and we'll be working with Dalton for a while. But there's so many people outside of these walls, and so just wanted to take a minute to start this episode and celebrate what we've done here at Maverick, and thank you for being a part of this journey as we get going into the rest of the podcast. So here we go. Let's go to LinkedIn Scroll. All right, LinkedIn Scroll, very simple. We've got one news of the day. In April, YouTube celebrated 20 years. Like, I'm just celebrating 2 years of leaving corporate. YouTube has been doing this for 20 years. Did you know that the first video that was shared on YouTube was a 19-second clip called Me at the Zoo, at the San Diego Zoo? The San Diego Zoo should have tapped into that. By the way, I know the chief marketing officer, David, used to be at Universal Studios. Now he leads the team at San Diego Zoo. I hope he knows this. I should have texted him when this was happening. 20 billion videos have been uploaded to YouTube over that time. This one will be 20 billion and one when we put it up. And I think it's really, really cool. And I'm a big fan of YouTube. Me and Brittany talk a lot about how much we love YouTube. I'm constantly looking at creators and watching a lot of videos. My kids are now into YouTube. They're watching all the things. Some of them we talk about here, like Nick Giovanni or Dude Perfect. And one thing that I don't talk about a lot here is just the world of new media outside, like the world of new TV. Did you know that YouTube collectively has passed TV in all of its viewing? It's the #1 streaming service. It's the #1 content consuming. And did you know that brands still treat YouTube like it's a dumping ground for their commercials? It is maddening the way brands treat YouTube with the opportunity. There are creators that are creating giant brands on top of YouTube and monetizing these audiences. And yet, 20 years into YouTube, we still have brands that are struggling. We're going to do a segment at some point, Britt, where I actually create an entire YouTube strategy for brands, big brands, that suck on YouTube. And the first one is TripAdvisor. I'm coming for you, TripAdvisor. Like, how are you not the leading travel media company on YouTube? You got more money than God, and you have the ability to create whatever you want. And it's just, I've seen it forever, and it's just sitting there. So we're gonna do that. We're gonna create a YouTube a strategy for TripAdvisor, and then maybe someone will call us and we'll get some money out of it. If not, it'll be fun for us and content for us. But happy birthday, YouTube. And for all of you brand marketers that are leveraging YouTube, keep kicking butt. It's super, super great. Let's head into the featured segment of the week. All right, today's featured segment is Let It Fly. It's our first one, so we're still working it out. But today, Let It Fly is about hot takes or unfiltered opinions or strong point of views. I try to share some of these on LinkedIn. I've got kind of a new strategy for how I'm using Twitter. It's just kind of a stream of consciousness. When I have a bold idea or just a thought in my mind, I literally go to Twitter and I just share it. And that's how Brittany, this is a good way to come up with clips for me for Instagram and for TikTok, because it's just stuff I'm putting out there. But there was a lot of things to choose from. And so I've got some that I've got in the back roll now. I want to talk about how marketing process is killing brands' creativity. I lived it for a long time, and I'm going to spend a lot of time. I won't do it here. There's a few other ones that I was talking about. Where's my notes? I had it here. Well, now I can't find it. So doesn't matter. There's a lot of things I really want to talk about when it comes to hot takes. Oh, I know what it was. I hate creative briefs. That's a true story, Dalton. I hate creative briefs. And brands' creative briefs kill creativity. And we're going to talk about that one. There you go. There's another one. But today's hot take is about how brands need to stop underinvesting in social. And I'm bringing something that's not a shocking opinion today, but it's something that I really, really wanted to talk about. And I'm using a spark. So if you don't know Gary Vee and you listen to this podcast, I'd be shocked. But Gary Vee has written a bunch of books. He originally started with a book, Jab, 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 Right Hook, social media book for businesses. And now he's done a few more. Great follow on Instagram, on LinkedIn. And he had he has a whole team of people that create content for him. And he had a post on LinkedIn this week that it was just reminded me of this problem that I'm seeing. And I've got to share this somewhere. Here's Gary Vee on LinkedIn. Brand is built in social. Social is the primary way people consume content, and thus the biggest businesses and sales opportunities sit on these 6 to 10 platforms. Fortune 500 companies continue to underallocate funds and expertise in these platforms, and small businesses and humans continue to underestimate the sheer amazingness that free organic reach is. Please double down on social content in 2025 for the ones who are ambitious and hungry. Man, there's so many good things in here that I'm going to talk about. The first one is brand and social. I'm just going to highlight that one. Allocating funds, expertise, free organic reach. So let's talk about this. You got to hear me when I say this. We are in the biggest communication shift of the past 100 years. It's happening right now around us. TV, email, display ads. People are trying to block ads. They're trying to run away from ads. And we're acting like nothing has changed. And we're building small teams on social that are underfunded and don't have the resources, don't have the strategy. And so what I want to do today is talk a little bit and tell some stories about why we are where we are and maybe some ideas of how we can get out of it. So today, this is going to be like a love letter to social media managers. But what you're going to want to do is you're going to want to take this podcast, you're going to want to forward it on to your boss and have them listen to the entirety, because I believe something that Gary's talking about and something that we're going to share today is so good. The first one that he talked about is brand is built on social. I think for the longest time, the world of brands thought that social media was for fandom, was for community management. And don't get me wrong, I'm not saying they're not for that. It 100% is to build community and to drive fandom in your business. But I remember being a part of conversations in some old brands that I worked for. This is a literally conversation I had, which was, why do we need to do social media for those fans? We already have them. They're our people. And I was just like, oh man, what a broken mindset. Like the fact that you think your fans are the people you need to leave alone just blew my mind. Rather than igniting passion and fandom, oh my gosh, that used to drive me crazy. But I get it. And it's important for us to understand what brand marketers and CMOs are thinking. And if they're out there thinking that we don't need to market to these people, we don't need to spend dollars and investment into going after them because they're going to come to our product regardless. We need to go find find new people. It's such a broken mindset. The other thing is that in there is this idea that social is not a loyalty strategy only. Social, and what Gary's talking about here, and he talks about it a lot, is an awareness strategy to build your brand, to make your brand be more relevant, to make your brand connect. We talk about here at Maverick that social and content and storytelling, it's such a bigger opportunity than some engagement, some shares. This is about how are you creating an emotional connection with customers that last way longer than that moment. If you want to do ads and sell some socks one time on an Instagram story, go crazy. But if you're sitting in a Fortune 500 brand where emotional connection, lifetime customer value will systematically change your business and change your brand, we've got to reimagine how we think about social as being this small thing that we put small teams around, small investments, hire interns, and just let them go play. And we just think it's for fandom. We've got to completely change that. And then we're going to talk about some of the things we need CMOs to do. But I want to tell a story of a moment I was at Universal. So I was there for like 4 or 5, actually, this is early on. This is probably 2 or 3 years. And I had an awesome boss. That's a big part about social media managers. Do you have someone that's supporting you and gets your vision? But I had an awesome boss named Chris Craner. Shout out Chris, who gave me the platform and the ability to kind of dream about what social could be at Universal. And I remember I was standing in front of probably 40 executives, marketing executives, and I had this whole plan, an whole strategy of what Universal can be. Here's the strategy, here's the vision, here's the content strategy, here's the categories, here's how we're going to activate on this channel and that channel and this channel. And at the end of it, it seemed well received. And one of the executives, I won't say his name, but one of the executives asked me, and it's a good question to ask, what happens if we don't invest in building this team out? I said, nothing. Pack it up, close it up, do paid ads, don't do social. If we can't do it well, if we can't do it best in class, then don't do social. But I had a dream, which sounds a little ridiculous, but I did have a dream. I wanted to defeat Disney. I wanted to crush Disney's social team, and I wanted to crush not the people, but the brand. I wanted Universal's brand to stand for something bigger, and I felt like there was an opportunity. And this executive agreed, and a lot of executives, fast forward, we get to build an awesome team. But that mindset, do we have to add people to your team to get all this? Yes. You don't get best in class social. You don't get best in class creativity without investing. But you got to see the long haul. That's what Gary Vee's trying to talk about. The opportunity for organic reach and audience building is endless, but it doesn't happen by lightly investing. And so many marketers today, I get it. You want to be lazy. You want to take a little tiny bit of creative. You want to take one piece of key art. You want to put it all over the place with programmatic buying. And you want to walk away and you want to watch the money come in. And man, I'm just telling you that is not the way the world is going. I'm not saying you don't do paid media. I'm not saying you don't do email. For some brands, I'm not saying you don't do TV. That's a very small amount of people that have a lot of money. If you're Progressive Insurance, do TV. If you're not, don't. But this idea that social is small and for fans has got to change. And I also know there's some people out there right now that are going, I don't know what this guy's harping about. I don't know what he's talking about. Like, we get it, right? Like I talked to a buddy, Josh Rengel. He was on the podcast last year and he worked for a big agency, did some stuff for McDonald's. And I asked him a question. I was like, why don't you think brands really get social? And he goes, what are you talking about? Brands think social's the biggest. That's where most of our business comes from. And I was like, oh. And I literally kind of took a step back, like, is my whole philosophy like wrong or am I off? And no, I'm not. But there are a few brands that are prioritizing it, but it's not the majority. I talk to CMOs, directors of digital, directors of social all the time that are fighting for headcount, that are fighting for budget, that want that seat at the table. And so it made me kind of think a little bit about, why is this? Why is this happening? When we started Maverick, there were 2 things I knew that were true. One is social and digital is not getting smaller, it's getting bigger. Whether people realize it or not, it's not getting smaller, it's getting bigger. And 2, brands suck at creating content that people want. Like it's just true. I know last episode we got to highlight Visit Las Vegas, but they're not the norm. They're the exception, and they're doing amazing work. But they're not the norm. Brands suck. And so I literally thought to myself, man, these 2 things will keep us in business forever. Social and digital is not getting smaller. brands stink at creating content that people want to watch. And so it sent me down a pathway of going, why is this? I think you got to understand the why behind where a brand is at so you can start bringing solutions to the table. So this is where I now start talking to social media directors, VPs of digital that want to see this happen. Look, at the end of the day, CMOs and marketing leaders, they're not dumb. They know that social is important and part of the mix. So why is it that they still are struggling to do it? I got 7 ideas that I think we're going to help us understand that why social and brand engagement are not a big enough priority. The first one is fear. Um, I think there's a bit of fear of the new world, the new media world, fear of the unknown, fear of losing control. Brand teams were created as almost like the internal police for how they are protecting their brand. And look, it's really important to have brand guidelines, understand what your mark should look like, and understand your font and things like that. But when you've got things that are just going through brand teams to just approve whether our brand stands for this, I mean, how many people out there that are listening to this right now, this has happened to you, have shared an idea with someone and they just go, I just, I don't think that's our brand, or I think that's off brand. Uh, that's happened to a million of us. And those are hard moments because they're hard to fight. But really what I think people are afraid of is giving control of your brand to your customers. And I got news for you. That ship has sailed. Every day people are talking about your brand on TikTok. Every day people are creating content on YouTube about your brand. So you can decide to be a part of that narrative or go back to the Stone Age and pretend like it doesn't exist. So fear is number 1. Number 2 is leadership. They haven't hired a leader in this space. And by leader, I don't mean a senior manager of social. I mean a director. I mean a VP. There are brands out there that have VPs of social and influencer marketing. And I say kudos to those people. They will win. And then there's other people that have small teams and haven't invested in it. Look, social is always going to be a byproduct of the team that you put in the seat. It's just true. And leadership matters the most. Do you hire people in leadership positions that understand what it's like to build an enterprise level social and they can do that for you? Super, super important. Strategy. They haven't figured out the strategy. Man, I talk to CMOs all the time that are like, we have no content strategy, or our content strategy is loose and really doesn't tie back to business goals. I I want so badly. We're gonna do something someday, Brittany, where we're gonna do like I don't know if it's a contest or something, but it's gonna be something crazy. Like I want to help with 100,000 brands create new content strategies. I don't know how we're gonna do that, but that need is real. And if you can get the strategy right, everything else can kind of start to fall in line. I talked about talent a little bit with leadership and hiring the leader. But I think talent on the team is so important, and I talk about this at different times. I talk about this with our team about who we're putting in the seats. But their teams are packed with folks who are pros at old school marketing rather than new media. You've got to have people that understand these channels in these seats. If you've got a marketer who's like, yeah, I'm on TikTok every now and then, or I'm learning TikTok, and you want them to be a social media marketer, run away fast. You need people that get social. And I don't know any other way to say it, but you got to take time to hire the right people because who's on the team is so important. So we got leadership, fear, leadership, strategy, talent. The next one is operation. One of the how would I say this? One of the uh, best tools in the tool belt of a enterprise level social team is an amazing content development process. And that doesn't happen by happenstance. That is a systematic way that you come up with ideas, you plan content, you create content. We do that a lot with clients here, but there's brands that are literally creating today for Friday. God, I hate being in that place. I've been there. We've all been there. You might be there right now. It's the worst. Do you have a calendar that's planned out a month or 2 in advance? If you don't, then you do not have an enterprise level social team. Is it laddered back to an overall content strategy that's laddered back to a business strategy that a leader pitched internally with your leadership who's all aligned? These are things that are going to help you on that pathway. Um, Operation, politics. There's always somebody wanting to shake things up and climb that corporate ladder. And so where social lives in your organization structure matters a lot. And a lot of times there's just too many people involved. And if you just pulled people out of the list, so much stuff would move faster, would be more creative. And the last one that I have here for you is, it might be number one. And so I might be burying the lead, as they say in the news world. Um, it's about leadership, not social leadership, but brand and marketing leadership being focused on short-term sales. This is a lot of where the problem is. They've got to drive business tomorrow, and social is screaming about relationship and long-term and lifetime customer value. Those two things have got to come together. Now, today I know I'm preaching a lot at the leadership in these organizations, and I told you to share this with them, but this is also incumbent upon you. If you remember the story that I told about that leader that I did that presentation, none of that happens if someone doesn't sit down and cast a vision and educate the leadership team. So it's also on the social media managers and the social media leaders to not get small, but to get big, to understand that your opportunities are endless to build this brand, but you have to do that. You've got to report. You've got to create the education. You've got to create the decks. You've got to create the awareness inside. We used to talk about, and I want to do a whole podcast about how we used to do this, but we used to talk about the internal PR and how important that is to social media teams. It's very, 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 very important. And so that's it. We've got to find a way to get brands to understand the power of social and content and storytelling. And it's the things that are making us struggle right now: fear of the new world, leadership not in place, not a great strategy, the operation in politics, and really an overall organization that's focused on short-term sales versus long-term relationships. Man, I could do this one for hours, but we wanted to just give you a little bit of a deep taste, or that's a weird thing to say. I don't know what a deep taste is. We wanted to give you a little bit of a taste before we go deep. What's the phrase that I made up in the meeting of the day?
Grease the boat.
Grease the boat, which is a mixture of grease the wheels and rock the boat. So I guess deep taste is a thing as well. All right, so that was fun. Do me a favor now. Well, first, listen to Content of the Week, where we're going to next, and then send this podcast, please, to your leadership team, because I believe it's something that they need to continue to hear, and we need to be in their ear to make sure that we're helping do what we want to do. Our mission is to help brands connect first and build raving fans. And we can't do that if we're not educating our leaders. So cool. All right. Content of the week. All right, so here we go. Content of the week. You know this by now. We curate all the content that's happening out there in the social and digital world for brands. We have a weekly newsletter, so go to our website, maverickcontentstudio.com, and there's a place for content. You can sign up and you get that newsletter every single week that will bring content ideas right into your inbox. But we want to highlight a couple here that are standing out to us. The first one, which we've already decided we're probably going to have to do a brands to watch, so I'm going to try to not go too deep on this one, but really, really good. John Deere, ladies and gentlemen. When a tractor company is creating good content, you know anyone can do it. We all have no excuses anymore. So the first thing that jumped across my mind was on LinkedIn. I saw someone talking about how amazing these TikToks that John Deere was doing. And so I took a screenshot, sent it over to Brittany. Brittany did a little research and she was like, do you know what they're doing? And then she sent it to me and I was like, no, I just thought this one thing was really, really cool. So in June of 2024, John Deere hired a chief tractor officer. To our knowledge, we think they actually posted a job, and this chief tractor officer was going to be the face of their TikTok account. And since then, they've been going gangbusters. They've got 600,000 followers on TikTok. And I wanted to show you this one little video, but they've got a lot of them. But I wanted to show you this one. This doesn't feature this guy. What's his name? I wrote Rex Curtis. But still, you can kind of get the feeling from this video here. I told bro to bring a shovel. It is what that video said. And the guy brought a shovel and then he turns the camera. You saw it there. And it was I'm doing a little bit of of detailed discussion for those listening on the podcast versus the video. But then you kind of see a giant John Deere excavator kind of come into camera. They are creating entertaining content on TikTok about a tractor company. And so go look at what John Deere is doing. They've got a ton of awesome, fun stuff. The stuff that Rex Curtis is doing, he's literally talking to people about flowers and farming and equipment. And they're making kind of the stuff that their target customer would care about entertaining. That's the whole thing, right? How do we make the things that our customer cares about entertaining? We used to talk about it as a Venn diagram. What does the brand want to say on one side, big circle? The other side, the team can draw it again. Big circle here. What does the brand want to say? Now the team's annoyed because now we got to do some graphics. And then on the other side of it is what does the audience care about? And that thing in the middle is really where your content strategy is created. I saw someone say this is where relevance is created. This is where you try to find ways to do entertainment. And so great job, John Deere. Loved it. Next one is, if you don't know, the NFL draft just happened. And yes, I'm a sports fan. I feel like I should apologize on Content of the Week for my news feed because you're going to get a lot of my feed, which apparently is sports and apparently tractors. But this is just a cool one. Take a look.
Have you ever wondered what it's like to be in an NFL draft room? To start up, what's going to take up the most space in this room is our draft board. And before anyone freaks out and worries that we're giving anything away, this is our movie and TV character board that we set up for testing purposes.
All right, so you see that and you go, yeah, fine, interesting piece of content. But if you're a Chargers fan, that's awesome. For those of you listening to the podcast, it's a video. He was kind of walking us through the draft room. And man, the NFL draft has become just such a tentpole moment for these brands and for these teams. And they're trying to find new ways to bring the fan inside. And what better way to do it than to literally walk them through the draft room? In there, they told you, this is where our coach sits. This is where our GM sits. Here's these draft boards. I found this riveting, and I'm a Cowboys fan, but if the Cowboys had shared a video like this, I would have just consumed the whole thing. And a ton of stuff happened with the Chargers when it kind of up to the draft and leading up to the draft. But just another example. And what inspiration can you take from these moments, right? John Deere hired a chief tractor officer to create TikTok original content. The San Diego Chargers are taking you inside and behind the scenes, but in a very kind of social first iPhone kind of way. So what are the things that you can be doing for your brand that could bring this to life to build audiences and to connect with your fans? And that's Content of the Week. All right, ladies and gentlemen, episode 23 in the books. I hope you guys enjoyed it. First time we got to let it fly. That was fun. I really had a good time. Again, subscribe, do all the things, and not just because I tell you to, but because we're hoping this is putting value into your lives. We want to literally have you come here, get some ideas and inspiration, and send you back into your brands, A, to make you super killer marketers, but B, to help your brands tell stories and to connect. That's what we do this for. So please do all the things. And it's a good time. Appreciate it. We'll see you next time.